the man's identity is completely buried with, their careers.
The concept of equality or inequality is deeply embedded within us.
The movement came because there is an inequality built into this society as I see it, right?
If you are the alpha male, you usually try to dominate others into feeling inferior so that you feel superior.
Programmed as a man or otherwise to say, okay, you do the work, you use your brain, bring the dough, bring the whatever success to the family. Every relationship problem that you have with your partner, your children, your team members, your parents, starts in the same place. It starts with you.
I'm Dr. Sapna Sharma. I've spent 20 years as a relationship and parenting counselor, sitting across from people who are hurting, confused, and looking for answers, but all in the wrong places.
And I'm Raju Panjwani, 2 marriages, loss, rebuilding, and I've spent years coaching senior leaders on what it actually takes to show up consciously at work and at home.
So here together we are going to have the conversations most people avoid. There's no prescription here, just conversations.
About love, about marriage, heartbreaks, and what it really takes to grow. We hope this strikes a chord with you, and we hope you join us. This is the Relationships and Marriage Podcast.
Hello everyone, and we are back with the Relationships and Marriage Podcast. I am Dr. Sapna Sharma, and with me is Raju Panjwani. And today we are talking about, does equality turn into a battle of ego and control in a marriage? We thought that that's a very interesting topic to talk about, discuss, especially in context of today's marriages. Because as a counselor, that whenever I come across a couple that's fighting, that's wanting to separate, the complaints are usually underlined with, the questions of equality. Why should I? Why shouldn't he? So a lot of questions of equality start coming up there. So thought that let us speak about that. So what do you think, Raju?
Well, it's a loaded topic, of course. As I speak to a lot of clients and others, and by the way, we're recording this today on International Women's Day. So, hey, what has it got to do with, equality? I think the last several decades of, ERA and other women power empowerment, it shows that there is somehow a built-in inequality in our society. And I think it's a great platform to bring these questions up because, as I talk to my clients and what they face is the man's identity is completely buried with, their careers. And I'm not just talking about Indians, and although I have a lot of Indian clients as well. So they're a little different. But broadly, I think whether it's America or another country, but mostly America and India is what I know. I would say it is, the word battle sounds a little harsh because that means we're about to get divorced. I think that's kind of where the people you deal with. And I think sometimes it's just the day to day, what happens every single day is what's breaking something. And then one fine day, oh God, divorce. So it's what work do we do? What do we give to the relationship is where I think I come from.
Right. Perfect. We have been talking to other couples also generally in life. We have been dealing with our own relationships in different contexts, not just a spousal relationship, but even, other relationships. And at workplace, we do come across these words being used very loosely: equality, ego, control. These words, I personally feel they're being used very loosely. And before we go ahead, we need to actually understand that what does it even mean? You said that you gave the reference of International Women's Day, and you did say that there has been an bias, right? That's the word that you used.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, I would like to know from you that what did you mean? What is the context that you wanted to give?
Well, in the sense that I feel it, and I've written about this before every International Women's Day, it's like, hey guys, this is insane. We're all born out of women, so what are we talking about? It's not like women are in charge. And why are we picking one day to celebrate International Women's Day? Because historically, it's been very clear. It's women have been oppressed. It's a man's world. And I think there's this constant fight over this. And I just don't know that there is a need for it. But unfortunately, that's our society where we're at. And I think it needs examination. At what point, Sapna, that healthy idea of quietly shift into competition inside a marriage, if we're talking about marriage, or any relationship for that matter, that's a significant other relationship.
So, Raju, I feel that the battle or whatever the concept of equality or inequality is deeply embedded within us. We carry it into any relationship with us. So it is an individual thing. I don't think it's a relationship thing. It's an individual thing. So do I normally feel that I'm treated well? Okay.
Where does that come from?
So if you want to go into the depths of it, then I think that it's coming from my self-worth, my feeling of self-worth, my self-esteem, if you may call it, which is directly related to everything that I perceive about myself.
Mm-hmm.
And if you ask me where is it coming from, how I perceive it, it's what we are given right from the birth. Because I believe that a child that is born has got no concept of self. Okay, forget about whether it's a good
Right.
self-esteem or not. There's no concept of self. And in that context, the moment the child is born, it is constantly being given adjectives. Okay.
Yes.
A mother that holds the child says, that, oh, he's such a cute child.
Shoot.
He's such a pretty child. Now, my whole body language conveys to the child that it is loved, right?
Yeah.
And slowly as it grows up, it starts connecting the words cute, sweet, means I'm going to be picked up, means I'm loved,
Yeah.
means I'm
Yeah.
worthy, right? It starts right from there. Interestingly, these nice, cute, positive adjectives are given to the child for a very, very little time.
That's right.
As long as I believe the child is very passive. The moment the child becomes active and gets kind of destructive around the house and makes everyone's life miserable, we have more and more negative adjectives for the child. He's so destructive and he doesn't let me sleep and he makes everyone's life and he cries so much and he spoils so many clothes. That's how the child starts growing more into the negative adjectives about it. And then it starts going to the school. And I believe the education systems almost across the world is built to tell you how you are not right, how you're not okay, what's not good about you, right? Because the parameters which are used to decide whether you're good or not basically can contain only top 5% of the students, right? So if there are good sportsmen, good academician, good whatever expert, it's top 5% of him. So again, the child is given a feeling that you are average, you're nothing much, nothing less. And then to top it all, there's the media, which is practically showing us advertisements like, this is this girl she's a dark girl and she's walking into an interview and she's rejected. And then she comes back with a glowing face and she's selected, right? So at every stage, I am being given adjectives, and at no stage is there any effort from anyone to help me understand who I am. So I'm carrying all of this into a relationship, into a marriage. This is what I believe about myself, irrespective of what I'm showing outside.
I said society because it's really, you're born into this program that exists already. The child, as you say, doesn't know anything, right? And then it's being shaped by first the immediate family and parents, and siblings if there are any, or other societal things, whether it's your friends in school, as you said. So the thing is, we are just, I think ultimately, if there's going to be any change, it's always awareness, right? That's what's been going on for these 50 or 60 years of this movement. And I think the movement came because there is an inequality built into this society as I see it, right? But excellent point that you make is like, why are we this way? So if we keep examining the question, why are we behaving this way? And so you get into either deeper questions or broad questions about society, or is it, I'm treated this way and that's why my self-worth is tied to that. But don't you think the child also, on the other side, is the male child? What's the difference there for a male versus a female?
So now when I say the concept of inequality or equality has got nothing to do with the genders. The concept of equality or inequality is inside me. Okay, how I am feeling about myself. Okay, if I am feeling I'm worth, I would treat everyone with respect, right? When I am not feeling worthy enough, I want you to respect me. Okay,
Yeah.
Whether I do anything right or wrong, irrespective, I want you to give me respect. I want you to treat me above you. I want you to do the things with the way I tell you, right? And these people who are involved in this so-called inequality, unequal treatment in a marriage, you would see them having similar pattern with their other relationships, also, with their subordinate. If you watch them working with their subordinate, you will observe that same pattern there.
So how do you, in your work, you're basically examining for them? Do you give them tools? What would be a tool in this particular example that our listeners and viewers can actually use? Okay, I have to examine myself, whether I'm a man or woman, is what you're saying, right?
Okay, we will come to that after some time when we are more into this topic. But before going ahead, I would like to ask you for some question. I would like to know your opinion. How much of what a couple calls a fight is actually it's about equality, or it is just our egos going unchecked? How do you put it? What is your experience?
Well, there's personal and there is, of course, what I see with my clients. I'd say in my personal thing, is there a battle going on for equality? My first marriage was arranged. So it's a little bit of it's already preset in the way it's supposed to be, and then you realize that that's a concept that's supposed to be this way, but you're the man, go work. That's the concept for some of the Indian marriages. So it was like that. But you're not living in India where there is a good infrastructure, a joint family. So there's a bit of, healthy, sometimes unhealthy support people around you. So you can rely on other ways to maybe divide the chores or have help, etc. In a nuclear society in America, in New York, just two kids and the two of you, and there is nothing but you have to divide chores because we do everything ourselves here. So that's a big difference. And contrasting that, well, not so much contrasting, but in my second marriage, which was a very different thing, this is again, talking about personal experience. I think there was a built-in idea that there's no difference between us. So you could divide chores, that's a physical activity. However, there's also, should we go to dinner tonight or should we make a decision about something else? It could be anything from your family, your children, to your life and common mission, if you will, in the marriage, versus simply, making the simple decisions of life. It's a rhythm, it's a dance, right? Hey, I don't want to go to the movies, but you want to go to the movies. Or I don't like this, I don't like that. Or you play golf and I don't play golf. These things. So they show up in different ways, but I think I was blessed to have that where I could simply speak about, hey, I prefer to do this, and what about you? And then, so there was always this, what about you? What about you? So there was a good rhythm there.
Since you're talking from your personal experience, I'll just stop you there and ask you again, because I'm more curious about your first wedding, because this one being with an American spouse and you had lived in America for some time and you had lived through one marriage. So both of you had different concepts, right? How you take this in your first marriage? How did you look at equality? When you were young, you were a man, an Indian man. How did you look at it?
Well, I was somehow, I would say a lot of background there, but I used to read women magazines to understand women. I was a boy at 12 or 13 when I started reading, I think my mom's magazine, or Femina. And so there were a lot of these articles and I go, wow, this is crazy, because I saw my mother really feel and live oppressed rather. So it was really a difficult thing for me to see. And so I was hesitant about anything to do with, girls and marriage, other than the fact that I was already told not to date. That was not a concept for me back in the 70s or whatever, 80s or 70s. So it was a question of, what am I doing? And if I met a girl or woman, what would that be like? And so then the arranged marriage happens, and then you're walking into something that you have a preconceived notion about. And then the equality aspect, I felt like I'm a partner, so I'm expecting a partner, whereas that's not the case, with my wife at the moment, because she says the man's the guy that, he works and he does all this stuff. And I go, I don't see it that way, because I felt very much equal at heart. I don't know if I'm answering that question. That's how I felt. And that's why I had difficulty dealing with it when we immediately moved right after our marriage to the US.
Right. So why I was curious is because in the beginning you said that, there's a lot of things against the women, but it's not always true. It is not always true that inequality thing is always against the women. It can be against the men too. Because
so then why has there been such a movement for, NOW, ERA, etc.? Why?
Okay.
Because there's a feeling.
Yeah. So since we have come to that, my favorite topic, let's talk about it. Yeah. So see, physically, a male is stronger. Okay, that's one fact which remains. Physically, it is easier to assault a woman, and sexually also. This remains the most important thing. Now, taking advantage of these situations, like I said, that everyone, if you believe me, I feel every one of us is growing up with a lot of self-worth issues. We are dealing with it because we're all brought up in the same way. None of the parents are trained, none of the teachers are trained. So we're all brought up in the same way, right? And while we are dealing with our own self-worth issues, okay, if I'm not feeling good enough about myself, I need to feel good about myself. Okay, that's my basic inherent need. Okay. Now, the basic difference between a male personality and a female personality is that it's easier for a woman to accept that, okay, I'm not that good. Okay, it just comes with the personality. The male, on the other hand, is pumped up right from the childhood to feel that he's superior. He's supposed to feel superior. That's how the parents bring him up. That's how the society brings him up. You're the man. You are the man. Where's your masculinity? A small 5-year-old boy falls down and cries, and everyone says, don't cry like a girl. Okay, it's crying, then it's girl. A man does not feel hurt. That's the kind of things which are told to a man. But whatever the society is trying to tell, whatever is happening inside cannot be changed. You're getting hurt multiple times, but you're supposed to be the man. Okay. So now you grow up, you're out into the society, and you're just trying to make a living. And there are other hundreds of males like you who are trying to make their livings, and all of them are fighting for their own superior. So here in the outside world, it's very difficult for you to get the position of a superior person. Where does that need go? When you go back home, there is a creature there who you can suppress. Okay, you can
Mm.
get physically violent with that creature. I mean, this used to happen earlier more. Now, even now, it's happening in a lot of rural areas. So you can dominate that person physically if that person is not making you feel superior. Okay, so that is how it would all evolve. And eventually, whatever is happening outside, whether you're feeling good about yourself or not, whether how you've been treated, it all come down that in the house I want to feel superior. So I will maybe physically assault my partner, I will verbally abuse my partner, my children, everyone, everywhere. And so, since this society was always a male dominated society everywhere to begin with, the rules were also formed accordingly because the men were protecting the men. Secondly, there's like another very interesting aspect of this male being attracted towards a woman, a female. Okay, now I'm talking just generally a general thing. It's about male of any species being attracted towards a female of any species. The men are very aware that how much they sexualize women. I'm not saying this in a wrong way. It is how the physiology of a male is made, right? But they know how I sexualize a woman when I look at her. So I do not want any other man to sexualize a woman in my life, my mother, my sister, my wife. So again, I'm trying to suppress her in the way that you don't move out. You should not talk to other men. You should not open up. You should not be free. Okay. So I'm putting all of this responsibility on her. Okay. And this is where it grew to. I don't believe that initially when the woman was asked to stay put, I don't believe it was because they wanted to suppress her. Initially, it was because she was a bearer of a child. She needed to
Mhm.
be taken care of. She needed to be there for the child. That's how it started. Right. But this is how it slowly grew into something which was. And then the people who wanted to bring about changes. Now, why this whole movement about women equality? There's a lot of different
Sure.
theories about that. I don't know. In the West, the very interesting theory which I've read, I don't know. Have you heard about the Industrial Revolution theory?
Of course.
When the capitalist world realized that you can tax only half the population,
Right. Yeah.
you empowered all the women, go out and earn. They say that that is where it all came out from, that, your children should not sleep in with you. They should be made independent so that the women can move out and earn and so that you can tax them. And you can have a lot more cheaper labor, right?
Hmm.
So any movement that is happening, the intention behind it is not always what we believe.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
I
I
did a
just
lot.
have one little difference with what you said earlier. I mean, at least because of my experience. My upbringing was very different than what you described for girl versus boy. I'm the oldest of my four siblings, and it took me 30 years after I left home and got married, 25 years, where I had to address my own self-esteem issues because I felt worthless. I mean, genuinely. That's how I felt. So for me, I was already an unequal partner to my spouse that I was with an arranged marriage, and I was like, we're supposed to be equal, and yet I was pushed to be the dominant, and even though I wasn't by nature a dominant person or someone like you described that, as men evolved. So for me, that experience is very different. It was very difficult to overcome, the authoritative fathers that most of my generation's parents were like no different than my dad in outward behavior. It was just, but it was more oppressive for the woman and the oldest son, typically if there was an oldest son. Not sure how, oldest children of their girls makes a difference, I'm not sure. But I really felt oppressed most of the time. That's why my mom and I were always like, a little group together, like, what are we doing? How's this working?
So that's a very interesting point where you brought up. I would like to point out something here that the male of the family, okay, would try to feel superior by virtue of how his children are also doing. So it's not just his woman that he would oppress, he would also dominate his children because he wanted everyone to obey him.
That's true. That's
Yeah,
true.
and that is why, irrespective whether the children were male or female. So I can guarantee you that your father, may his soul rest in peace, but your father was also suffering from low self-esteem issues.
No doubt. I mean, I'm just simply saying that now when you examine that, oh, he was having his own identity issues. And
All of
and
us.
as I look at my siblings, maybe the younger two of them were not as feeling that. I mean, we talk now, and it was like, I didn't feel that, what you feel.
everyone expresses their self-esteem in a different, or the
Yes.
lower self-esteem needs in different way. If you are the alpha male, you usually try to dominate others into feeling inferior so that you feel superior, right? But if you are of a submissive personality, you generally take it on yourself, feel inferior for the rest of your life, and you live
That's
like
right.
right.
That's
And
right.
then there is someone like me. I spent half of my life. You said 35. I did it till 40, and I was a people pleaser.
Oh, right. Exactly.
That's how I was dealing with because I wanted others to like me. And I
Yeah.
believed that they did not like me. And I know that's not right because now I know that they like all of them liked me. But then it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because when I talk to people today, they are surprised. They say that why would you have low self-esteem? You are good
Right.
looking, you are good education, and everything is good. But it doesn't matter what I have. It's what I believe. When I believe
Exactly.
inherently that maybe I'm not good enough, that's what gets into it. So that's what we are bringing. All of us are bringing into a relationship, and then depending upon our personality, we manifest it.
Well, yes, and I think that's true in as I see around the world. I mean, it's not just America or India; it's everywhere.
It's human.
People
It's a human thing.
people won't do anything outside their comfort zone because they're not good enough to do
Yeah.
that, right? And it's just such a common refrain. I don't think people will like this because I'm not that good, or whatever your other issues are that relate to self-esteem. I can relate to that very well because it took me a very long time, as I said. So, but a question for you, Sapna, is what does a true partnership then look like when both individuals are refusing to dominate, refusing to dominate, but also refuse to submit? Is there such a thing? I know you probably talked
It's
about.
actually a beautiful thing.
Okay.
I mean, what you're talking about is true relationship of equal.
Mm,
But that can happen if we are comfortable with ourselves, number one. Okay.
right.
So I don't take anything. If you tell me that get me a glass of water, I don't take it as if you are ordering me.
Right. Exactly.
I am there. So you say that, can I get a glass of water? And I give it to you. Right?
Yeah.
But if I am coming from my place of low self esteem, I would take it like, why do you order me all the time? Just because I'm a woman, why do you do that? Right?
That's right.
So if both of us are bringing it
Hmm.
in there, then exactly it's possible to live that way that you don't need to dominate and you don't need to get dominated. We can
Yeah.
just
So
be
there's nothing
us.
to submit. There's nothing to dominate or submit.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
exactly. I mean, we both agree to because we like to be together. We be together. Sometimes you tell me something to do. Sometimes I tell you. We discuss. We disagree. And when we disagree, we can actually, if it's a healthy relationship, we can just agree to disagree. I have seen in most of the relationship tussles, they take the disagreements to the extent that one of them has to fail and the other has to succeed. And I'm winning this argument.
Mhm.
That need is
Yeah.
not there when you are self assured. It's okay. I put my point forward. You like it, you take it. You don't like it, you don't take it.
Right.
Right? But that needs a lot of work on self.
Everything requires work on self because there's no other way out. Because as you examine yourself, it all comes down to your behavior, right?
Absolutely. You asked me that question then. How do you work on
Yeah.
that? So I start working with trying to help them see how they can make their life better. I don't like to tell anyone who's wrong. It's for them to find out who's wrong or who's right. Because I believe everyone is always right in their own perspective. It would only be a madman who would do things he feels he is doing wrong. Right?
Mhm.
Everyone does whatever he or she does because they believe that I'm right. Right? So it's not about who's right or who's wrong. I start by asking individually them the questions that what do you value? And eventually when they come to the point that I want to be happy, okay, I say that okay, this we can work. But
Right.
interestingly, this comes quite late because as much as possible, if I ask them that what do you want, as far as possible they keep try to tell me that he needs to change, she needs to change,
Right.
he needs to stop this, he needs to start this. And when we finally surpass all of that and we come to a point where they have to tell me that I want to be happy, this is what I know that we can work on. And so each one of them is individually working on their own happiness. There's a
Mhm.
process to that. We work
That's
through
right.
the whole process of self-awareness, which then goes to the self-worth. But if I want to be happy and if you want to be happy, then I don't know why together we can't be happy. It's as simple as
That's
that.
right.
But having said that, let me also tell you, very few couples in therapy last till that point. Most of them, because they come to the therapy till the time they can tell me how wrong their partner is. They'll keep on
Mhm.
coming till the time they can make a point, and every time they love to tell me stories. He did this, he
Yeah.
did that, he did that, and she did this, and he did that. They keep on doing that. And when finally there's nothing left there and I start asking them questions which point towards them, that's when they drop off.
So, in that experience, then, what are the factors that play a part in this power struggle? Money is an example. Is there anything else? Or maybe let's talk about money, financial independence or otherwise.
It's not about anything in particular. It's not. It's how you perceive all of these things. Okay. If I'm earning and I feel it's my power, I'm doing something amazing, extraordinarily different, and you should all obey me, then money is a
Yeah.
problem. If I feel that, I've got into a marriage, so it's my responsibility to take care of the people in my family. It's not a big deal that I'm earning. If I'm looking at that way, then money is not a power game, right? But I understand what you're asking. And especially in this so-called liberated world where we're talking about women's liberation, I feel we should have a session on that. Because I feel this whole concept of women's liberation is quite skewed. Women's liberation doesn't mean that you want to become a man.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know that that's really how it's thought of. It's like, I'm equal to you. That's probably what they think of mostly, right?
So if I have to sit at home and take care of the child, I look at it as an inequality. Now, if I start
Yes.
looking at it that way, I am going against the nature, right? I'm sure that my husband should also take care of the child sometimes, but I have inherent motherhood in me. Okay. The child is more comfortable with me as a mother, right? So the job of caretaking is given to me by nature. Like I give this example, Raju, it's a very interesting example. I often ask the women that, you always say that, why doesn't he do everything 50-50 in the house, this and that. And he's not romantic, he's not this, he's not that. My question to them is that if your husband one day says that, I don't want to work and I don't want to earn, will you be okay with it? Because it's an equal partnership, right? So you should be taking the earning and let it, but you won't accept that. You would keep on telling him, no, it's a job of the man to take care of the household. So where is the equality? There's no equality. There's no equality here, right? So, and many women, I find that if they're earning, they often use this to tell their husband, don't tell me anything, I'm earning, I'm also earning. Why should I not do it? Because I'm also earning, because I'm also earning, because I'm also earning. A man has been earning all these years, right? And you still tell him what time he should come home. And he doesn't say that I'm earning, don't tell me this. He says, see, this is what is happening is women are trying to become men. Instead of both of us trying to evolve into more intelligent human beings, this is what is happening. So it's not about money or anything else. It's about how you perceive it.
Well, good. It's funny. I was speaking to a good friend about our podcast coming up and all that, and she related a story to me. It's totally pertinent to this issue. So, two couples, both Indian. Let's call them couple A, couple B. So, couple A, so they're born and raised in India. They're both medical doctors. All four of them. In other words, all those couples don't know each other, by the way. So this is related to me. So this is, you're going to forgive me that this is not my story. This is a story of somebody else. So this person observes their friends socially, separately. The other couples don't know each other. So couple A was not able to qualify to come to the US for the exams, but they move anyway. The wife gets a job and then sets up her own practice, etc., and is absolutely killing it for this couple A. The man did not get the qualification. So what is he going to do? So he's always looking around for something else that the man's ego is telling him what to do. But he has been singularly unsuccessful. I think both couples have a couple of kids. So in this case, couple A man is unable to settle himself because he feels one's making incredible amount of money. And the dominant nature of the wife is very obvious in society and everywhere else. And he hasn't settled, but he does sort of odd different things to get something going, and has not been able to figure out. We don't know the reason why, but it would seem to me that this is all endemic to self-worth and self-belief, self-esteem. Couple B, the doctor qualifies, both qualify. They come here, same thing. The wife is doing amazingly well. I forget whether she has a job or does whatever, but incredibly well, very successful, renowned physician, etc. They also have a couple of kids. And in this case, the man, also qualified, decides that he doesn't want to be pursuing his medical career like this. He dedicates himself to managing the wife's business. Yeah, so this is second couple is actually she's a businesswoman, meaning has her own practice, group practice, whatever. But she's the person who owns it. So making, forget the money, but yeah, very successful in every other way. And they have a beautiful relationship. Because the man, even though he's qualified, he doesn't want to do this anymore. He wants to just devote himself to managing her business and from everything from accounting operations and all that stuff. So I was actually listening with rapt attention, like, wow. So this is a great topic to bring up, as I said, from inequality and how money plays a
Perfect,
role.
perfect. You brought up
Isn't
this
that great?
topic. This is a perfect example of that. Yes, it's got nothing to
Yeah.
do with whether you have money or not, who has more or who has less, whether you're working or not. It's got nothing to do. Everything is
Exactly.
simply about how I perceive myself. How I perceive. It's
That's
not
it.
even about how you perceive me. The first step is how I perceive myself.
I think what you're saying, you work on that. You give people the ability to say, okay, well, how do I work on myself? And then it's a process that you
So,
follow.
so when you're going through this, but I have a very interesting question to you. Do you think a marriage can survive when one person does the inner work and other refuses? Because I often have these kind of couples in mind.
That's a very big question. And so there is a good contrast, right? We already talked about my two contrasting marriages. Nothing that one is wrong or the other. Lovely people, both women that I was married to. Yeah, in the first case, there was no concept of inner work.
Mhm.
And I was always unsatisfied with where I was. My dad always just said, you'll never be happy. You're
Yeah.
first in class, you're first year first, and yet you're not happy. I'm not happy because it's not aligned to what you want is what I want is not the same thing. Because dad wants me to be first in class. That's just like a belief system I'm ingrained with. And so I'm not going to blame my dad. As I said, God rest his soul. But it was just, it's how I grew up. So top, but misaligned with I guess what I wanted, my desires. And I still, therefore, now I'm a coach for always talking about alignment, inner to outer alignment in my life. There was no concept of inner work with her. Nothing to blame. That's just how they grew up. She was one of 7 siblings and the youngest, and very much valued in her family. Perhaps she thought I never valued her. I don't know the answer, but she came into this very. I think the difference was that we came into a small nuclear family versus where she lived among many siblings with her. Now, I cannot say that Kim did a lot of inner work, like meditation, etc. But somehow, this American woman lived a life of total presence and
Yeah.
total joy. For her, she'd be happy for no reason. So apparently, she had done some work without knowing that she was doing the work. I'm still working at my age, internal inner work. And because to me, it's more a learned practice because we've been programmed with this because of India or otherwise, programmed as a man or otherwise to say, okay, you do the work, you use your brain, bring the dough, bring the whatever success to the family. In her case, she was a PhD in intercultural communication, etc., from great institutions, but didn't give you the feeling that she did in her work. But the way she lived her life, it has to have taken a lot of either God-given gift or maybe just how it is. So it's
Yeah.
hard to say work, but yeah, self-aware. It was a incredible self-awareness that existed already
It
that
doesn't
I didn't.
definitely doesn't work if only one person is trying to. In India, we have this amazing thing. Oftentimes, I'm approached by one of the spouses for their relationship problem. Most of the time,
Hmm.
it used to be women earlier, but now even men are coming forward for counseling. And
Hmm.
invariably, when I ask them that, okay, we would want your spouse also to be a part of this thing, they end up saying that, I asked her or I asked him, and he said that, you have a problem, you go ahead. There's something wrong with your head.
But did you say it was women that come first to the table?
Earlier, yes. In the earlier generations, yes. In the newer generations, I think I have equal number of men and women coming in separately,
So
initiating.
I must have broken new ground because in the US, becoming an Indian, I
Yeah.
was here like 10, 12 years, and I went to seek counseling.
Because in India,
And
especially the
it was,
challenge that we have in India is the taboo associated with counseling in general.
that's right.
Also, I see that we are okay if needed. Suppose if my office is not giving me promotion because I need to upgrade, I won't mind going and getting enrolled in a course and
That's
learning
right.
something. But relationships, no. We have a strong belief that no one needs to teach us and we don't need to learn anything. Relationships and parenting, the two things, I don't know why we believe that we are equipped right from the birth with these two things. And trust me, these are the most difficult things in life. To go to a job and earn is the easiest of all of the things that we have to do on this earth. And
I
parenting
totally
and
agree.
relationships, the most difficult job, but somehow there's a huge taboo. If you even talk to your friends about it, that I need help, there's something. So we have this thing, in India that we will all have a big plastered smile on our face when we go out as a family and try to show off that wonderful family we are, even if we are practically killing each other inside the house. So
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
accepting that we have a problem, not accepting that we need help, not approaching or any kind of help is the reason which I find the bigger reasons why so many families are breaking down. because we do not really have to think about the Iran and Israel and Afghanistan and Pakistan issues in our marriage. It's the small little things of every day which is
It always, yeah,
which
I
is
agree.
breaking our relationships, which does not need to happen. Because I've seen that the most of the couples who have come to me, I am very confident that if they keep continuing with the counseling process, genuinely, both of them, there's no reason why they cannot have a great.
Mhm. So
So
we're
sad
talking about ego and control. So it looks like we have a lot of new topics to talk about for
too.
our future.
So again, the same
Great.
thing. If my self-worth is not good, I would not want anyone to tell me that I also need to change or work on myself. And that's
That's
where the biggest problem with
right. Mhm.
having beautiful marriages is. I
Yes.
think we have a lot to talk, like you said, and we should keep coming back with new topics. We'll continue with this one also if needed. But like I said to my audience last time, please write to us. Let us know what is it that you would want us to talk about, and we would love to discuss those with you, Raju.
Indeed. Yeah. So I think that's a great idea. We, again, through my clients who have, shared in confidence about a lot of their issues, they don't talk about the relationships as much, but it comes out in the way they, operate in different ways at home and at work, particularly men. I've got a few Indian men right now who've been individually coached. And it's just amazing how little things can make such a big difference sometimes on relationships. So I hope whoever's watching, listening, take the time, as Sapna said, to figure out where your number one challenge is. Perhaps that's not everything. Just start with one on any relationship. It doesn't have to be your spouse, as we said, because we're talking about relationships and marriages. Until next time, I wish you goodbye, and then watch for the next episode, which I believe is about modern roles and traditional expectations. Let's talk about that.
Have a great week.
Bye. If something in today's conversation stayed with you, well, sit with it. That discomfort is telling you something worth listening to.
Before thinking of who needs to hear this and who needs to change, try to introspect. We read every comment and message and reply them personally. Tell us what come up for you.
And if someone in your life actually does need to hear this, send it to them. That might be the most important thing you do today.
Subscribe so that you never miss a conversation.
See you in the next episode.